following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Khadija Amin is calling for increased security for her constituency. Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Khadija Amin, is calling for increased security for those in her constituency following an attack on a family in Passia on Wednesday night. She also wants the National Security Minister and Attorney General to quickly approve non-lethal weapons for citizens. Around 7:15 p.m. on Wednesday, a mother was in the midst of bathing her baby when an assailant allegedly stormed in and demanded all valuable items. Reports said that a relative heard the intrusion and attempted to secure the house. However, two other assailants who were outside shot through a window, injuring 3 family members. The assailants then made their escape. Amin, who is familiar with the family, said the incident has left the community traumatized. Customs clerk meets his demise in quarrel over ex. A customs clerk is now dead following a fight with a businessman at 7th Street in Barataria on Thursday, June 10th. The altercation allegedly was over a woman. The deceased has been identified as 50-year-old Larry Howell of St. Augustine. According to a police report, at about 7 a.m., Howell went to the apartment to meet the 34-year-old woman who is his ex. However, he not only met the woman there, but also a 37-year-old businessman. Police said an argument broke out among the three, during which Howell reportedly pulled a gun and threatened to shoot the businessman. The businessman is said to have sprung at Howell and begun beating him, during which he was able to disarm him. The police report that the businessman pulled out his licensed firearm and shot at Howell. The businessman then called the police. Howell was taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, where he succumbed to his injuries. Police officers seized both firearms and statements were taken from the woman and the businessman. No arrests were made. Investigations are ongoing. Man injured in Belmont shooting. A 34-year-old Belmont man was shot and wounded while walking in the Belmont area on Thursday in what is being described as a drive-by. According to a police report, at about 5:30 p.m., the victim was walking along Argyle Street in Belmont when a vehicle approached him and its occupants opened fire on him. The car then sped off. Meanwhile, residents and commuters traveling in and out of East Port of Spain and Belmont are being asked to exercise caution as police suspect an upsurge in gang-related shootings in the area. At about 11 a.m. on Tuesday, June 8th, police received information that 2 rival gangs were engaged in a gunfight along Oxford Street. However, no one was injured. The police service confirmed that a party of officers carried out searches after the shooting, but was unsuccessful in making any arrests. The TTPS is advising people wishing to visit the area or those passing through to be vigilant and to contact the police immediately if there are any unusual sightings of gun-toting men or gatherings at any street corner or planning development. The police service also is giving assurances that mobile patrols will be increased in a bid to quell the upsurge in crime and gang-related activities. Rio Claro couple charged with the demise of their relative. Hyastin Jagisar, 33, and Tracy Ann Singh, 36, appeared virtually before Senior Magistrate Taramati Ramdas at the Rio Claro Magistrates Court yesterday after being charged with the demise of their relative on Thursday, 10th of June 2021. Jagisar and his common-law wife Singh were charged relative to the circumstances surrounding the death of Ryan Singh, which occurred on Friday, 21st of May 2021 in Rio Claro. The matter was postponed to Friday, 9th of July 2021. Around 2 p.m. on Friday, 21st of May 2021, Ryan Singh, his cousin and her husband were in a shed at their home at Bucket Corner, Naparima Mayaro Road, Rio Claro. They were allegedly approached by a group of 4 persons, which included a woman and 3 men, of which 2 of the men were believed to be Venezuelans. It is alleged that the group was armed with cutlasses. An argument ensued, which evolved into a scuffle, during which Ryan was chopped about his body. Ryan ran and fell down a short distance away and was pursued by the group, who continued to attack Ryan with their cutlasses. The woman, who was part of the group, also attacked Ryan with a boulder. The group of 4 assailants then escaped. The 3 men drove away in a Ford Ranger vehicle, while the woman fled the scene in a Nissan Tida. Ryan was conveyed to the Rio Claro Health Center, where he was treated, then transferred to the Sangre Grande District Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 5:25 p.m. One of the men was arrested by Corporal Nanan of the Barrackpore Criminal Investigation Department on Tuesday, 8th of June, while the woman was arrested by WPC Morgan Job of the Homicide Bureau of Investigations Region 1 on Thursday, 10th of June 2021. Investigations are continuing. Man violates stepdaughter. A 38-year-old man was denied bail after appearing virtually before a Princestown magistrate on Tuesday, charged with violating his 11-year-old stepdaughter. The accused, who will reappear before the court on July 6th, was denied bail by Magistrate Indira R. Misir Gosin. The man reportedly had no criminal record. However, prosecutor Sergeant Shazid Mohammed objected to bail out of concern that if released on bail, he would interfere with the child. He was arrested and charged by WPC Ramroop of the Southern Division Child Protection Unit CPU on June 7th. His arrest followed a report made to the police by a woman who claimed she walked into her 11-year-old daughter's bedroom in the wee hours of Monday, June 7th, where she allegedly discovered her husband violating her daughter. Investigations into the case were headed by W. Superintendent A.G. Claire Guy Allen and supervised by Inspector A.G. Khan of the Southern CPU. The accused will go before the courts again on Tuesday, July 6th. Uncle ordered to stay away from niece. A 40-year-old Siparia man was ordered to stay 100 feet away from his 16-year-old niece after appearing virtually before a Siparia magistrate on June 10, 2021, charged with violating the child. Magistrate Aidan Strode gave the order as part of the bail conditions of the accused, which were set at $160,000 with a surety. He will reappear before the court on July 8th. The man was charged by WPC Rangu of the Southwestern Child Protection Unit CPU on June 10, 2021, following a report made to police in July 2020 by the cousin of the 16-year-old victim. The girl's cousin reported to police that while she was at her uncle's Siparia home in May 2020, he allegedly touched her inappropriately. Police launched an investigation which was spearheaded by W. Superintendent A.G. Claire Guy Allen and supervised by Sergeant Taylor, which ended in the girl's uncle being charged with violating her. Three farmers injured in home invasion. 3 men identified by police as farmers were shot last night after assailants stormed a house in St. Augustine. Investigators report that the home invasion occurred shortly after 7 p.m. when assailants entered the house at Centenary Extension Street. The police report that the assailants attempted to rob the men after storming the house. The men fought back and a struggle ensued, and the 3 farmers were shot. One was shot in the chest while the other 2 were shot in the leg. While the assailants attempted to make a hasty retreat, one of them was chopped several times. The armed assailants later escaped in a waiting Almera motorcar. The victims were rushed to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex to be treated. St. Joseph Police Station is continuing investigations, and an all-points bulletin APB has been issued for the assailants and the vehicle. Remains discovered by workmen. Human skeletal remains were discovered on Tuesday by workmen clearing a piece of land along the Blanchisseuse Road, Arima. Police said around 10:15 a.m., 2 people were clearing a piece of land when they discovered the skeletal remains. One of the men contacted the Aruca police station. On arrival, the police officers met the men, who took them approximately 2 kilometers into a forested area on the eastern side of the roadway, where the officers saw the skeletal remains of what appeared to be a human body. It was clad in what appeared to be dark-colored shorts and a dark-colored jersey. The skeletal remains were removed to the Forensic Science Center, where the gender will be determined, as well as the identity and how the death occurred. Homicide victim linked to several criminal activities. Homicide investigators are continuing their probe into the murder of Wallafield resident Amanda West, who was killed on Tuesday night after gunmen chased her from her house into another. West lived at Chiconia Drive, Jacob Hill, Wallafield. Police report that around 8 p.m., West was at her home along with 2 other people when they were approached by 2 armed men. West and her 2 friends became fearful for their lives and ran out of the house. The assailants pursued them and fired several shots at them. Police were told that West then ran into a house on Orchid Drive, Wallafield, where she was pursued by the assailants, who fired several shots at her. She died on the scene. The assailants then escaped on foot. Superintendent Montreshaw and Inspector Callender visited the scene. Investigators said West was known to them, as she was said to be linked to several armed robberies and was believed to be the holder of an illegal firearm. Police said she was also a suspect in the recent robbery against one of her own relatives, whose pension money was stolen. Officers said other family members feared West and were scared to pursue the matter because of the threats she allegedly made against them. Woman kidnapped and held for ransom. A 28-year-old woman was kidnapped and a red Lancer motorcar is being demanded in exchange for her safe release. According to a police report, the victim, Rita Solita Singh, 28, of Spring Valley Road, Mount Dore, Camp Flores, was in the vicinity of Tool Time Hardware, located at Samaru Road, San Juan, around 3 p.m. on Tuesday, with her sister-in-law when a silver Nissan Tita registration PDP 6491 with 3 men drove by and grabbed Singh, forcing her into the car. The men then made a quick exit in the car along with Singh. Singh was last seen clad in a white vest and white skirt jumper with pink slippers. The sister-in-law reported to the police that half an hour later she received several calls from a blocked number. The caller on the other end informed her to make arrangements to drop off a red Lancer motorcar registration PBA 6844 in exchange for Singh's release. The San Juan CID and anti-kidnapping units were informed and investigations are continuing. 3 men appeared before a Mayaro magistrate yesterday, charged with breach of the emergency powers regulations. The men were fined by Magistrate Wendy Dugdeen Bali $7,500 each, or in default 6 weeks with hard labor. According to police reports, on June 8th, officers were on patrol and responded to information which led them to the coastline from Stonebright Village to Bonespore Road, Mayaro. Once there, the officers observed 3 men on the beach. When the men were questioned, they had no reasonable explanation. The men were immediately arrested and taken to the Rio Claro police station, where they were charged for the offense. The suspects were Tevon Ross, 25, of Belle Road, Mayaro; Joseph Badu, 37, of Cooper Trace, Mafeking Village, also in Mayaro; and Roy Mitchell, 27, of Tabaquit Road, Rio Claro. The exercise was coordinated by ASB Janki and Inspector A.G. Ragbear, and supervised by Sergeant Mohammed, Corporals Neve and Flores, and included officers of the Mayaro Criminal Investigations Department CID, Crime Scene Investigation Task Force, Emergency Response Patrol, and the Rio Claro CID and Task Force. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar is calling for Health Minister Terence Deyalsingh to resign, following the chaotic mass vaccination rollout plan on Wednesday. During debate on a matter of urgent public importance raised in the House of Representatives on the issue, she said the gathering of large crowds at health centers across the country for COVID-19 vaccines was enough evidence of his mishandling of the vaccine rollout. Persad-Bissessar said, "This state-sponsored super-spreader event erupted into breaking the very law the government put into place on the invitation of the government. We're being told we have to come back tomorrow with a structure of people with surnames, A to E being vaccinated tomorrow." She asked, "Has the ministry done any due diligence to determine how many people will fall into the letters A to E?" Had she been given the opportunity, Persad-Bissessar said she would have been able to secure vaccines sooner and ensure a more streamlined rollout while managing the pandemic. However, Deyalsingh responded by pointing out her calls in the past for the public to use the malaria medication hydroxychloroquine and her viral statement about COVID and sunlight. Deyalsingh assured that government learned from its mistakes and said there will be a more effective and orderly management of the vaccinations starting Thursday. He said those with surnames beginning with the letters A to E who did not receive the vaccine on Thursday would be able to receive their dose after 5 working days when their surnames would have been rolled around. What's your verdict? Should Deyalsingh resign? Or is he doing an adequate job with unavoidable mistakes?